Welcome to this Career Development Center presentation on identifying and communicating your transferable skills. We'll start off by defining the term transferable skills, which are skills that you have acquired during any activity in your life. These could be jobs that you've had, classes that you've participated in, clubs that you're a part of, projects, hobbies, sports, virtually anything that are transferable and applicable in what you may do in your next job or internship. So why are transferable skills important? As a student, you may not yet have had many opportunities to develop very specific or highly technical skills that are directly relevant to your chosen field. So this is where transferable skills come in, because they are key to showing an employer your potential. Because you may not yet have a lot of industry-specific skills, such as proficiency with particular softwares, transferable skills that are more general in nature will show employers that you have the essential qualities needed to be a successful intern or employee. Also, the ability to identify and communicate your transferable skills on your resume and during an interview can help set you apart from other candidates. So let's begin by identifying some of the transferable skills that you may have had the opportunity to develop so far. So for many students, through their academics, whether that just be classes or projects they've worked on, they may have had the chance to develop research skills, project management, writing, public speaking, critical thinking, and time management. If you've participated in clubs and student organizations, you may have had the chance to begin developing skills such as leadership, teamwork, event planning, marketing, recruitment, budgeting, or even working with spreadsheets. And for those who have completed internships before or who have previous work or volunteer experience, you may have had the chance to develop skills such as the ability to take direction, customer service, problem solving, communication, working under pressure, work ethic, initiative, and attention to detail. These are just some examples, and I encourage you to spend some time reflecting on what skills you think you've developed through the different activities and experience that you've been a part of thus far. In addition to reflecting on the skills that you've had the opportunity to develop, it's also important to think about what skills employers are seeking. The National Association of Colleges and Employers does a yearly survey of employers across different industries, and they seek to find out what skills employers are wanting in new employees. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the top skills that employers are seeking. The percentages on the right-hand side represent the percentage of employers who were surveyed who ranked this skill as very important when they are looking at applicants. So I'll give you a second to kind of read through and get an overall view of what some of these skills are. All right, so let's go ahead and focus on just the top 5 skills for right now. So we can see here that number 1, actually tied for number 1, was problem solving and the ability to work in a team, followed by written communication skills, leadership skills, and also a strong work ethic. So my hope is that you've had the ability to begin developing some of these skills. Again, that could be through school, through previous jobs you've had, really any kind of activities. So for a second, think about if you were asked by an employer, do you feel confident that you could provide an example to illustrate your competence in each of these areas? If not, you may want to spend some time considering how you can further develop your skills in each of these areas. I also would like to pause a minute to talk about one other skill on here, which is tactfulness. So tactfulness can be defined as the ability to deal with others in touchy situations without offending them. So let's say that you are working on a group project and one of your group members has been submitting their portion of the project late. A not so tactful way of approaching that would be to call that group member out in front of the other group members and to demand that they tell you why they have been late submitting their work. So obviously this would probably be fairly embarrassing for that person, not a very tactful way of approaching it. A more tactful way of handling this would be to talk to this group member individually. So you're not embarrassing them in front of other people, and to ask if there's a way that you could be of help to them. Maybe saying that you've noticed that they have been struggling to submit their part of the project on time, and you're wondering if maybe you could be of assistance. So obviously a much more considerate, kind of nicer way of approaching this. The reason that I point out tactfulness is that with this survey, the National Association of Colleges and Employers has been sending it out for quite a few years. And typically, the skills don't tend to change a whole lot from year to year. But tactfulness is actually a newer skill that has emerged. It's not something that we used to see in the past. So we don't know the exact reason for this, but one possibility is that employers are seeing that this skill is lacking in new employees. And so that's why we're seeing it show up on this survey as something that they are considering important. So I would encourage you to think about tactfulness as a skill that you may have. Is this something that you feel like you're already pretty good at? Or is this something maybe that you would want to work on? All right, so now that you've had an opportunity to start reflecting on what some of your skills are, and also you've had a chance to look at some of the skills that employers are seeking, let's talk about how you can include transferable skills on your resume. So when you're applying for a position, you want to turn to the job description and you want to see which skills are included. And then you want to try to include as many of those as possible in your resume. This is especially important because of applicant tracking systems. If you're not familiar with applicant tracking systems, these are software systems that the majority of employers use to sort through applications. So what happens when you apply for a position is that an applicant tracking system will scan your resume looking for keywords. Your resume gets deemed qualified if the applicant tracking system finds a certain number of those keywords. So the best indicator to you of what those keywords might be is going to be the job description. So you really want to do your best to make your resume and the language in it reflect the skills and experiences that you're seeing listed in the job description. Most often, the best place for transferable skills on your resume is going to be in your bullet points, because then you can provide some context for them and sort of discuss how you have developed or demonstrated those skills. So let's take a look at a portion from a job description. So you can see for this position, these are the minimum qualifications. So I've highlighted in purple the skills that are transferable and that you could, in theory, include in your resume. So things like organizational skills, attention to detail, particular softwares, so Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook, Publisher, and PowerPoint, communication, analytical, and organizational skills, being able to relate well with individuals of diverse backgrounds, customer service, and public speaking skills. So let's talk a little bit more about how to incorporate these transferable skills into your bullet points. So we're going to take a look at a few different examples. Let's say that you want to focus on leadership skills, that that's something you've seen in the job description. So one example would be to say that you demonstrated strong leadership skills by effectively managing a team of 15 student volunteers for CSULB's Week of Welcome Resource Fair. So notice that this bullet point doesn't just say demonstrated leadership skills. The bullet point is explaining how you did so. So being very specific and providing a clear example, which is what you want to do. Let's say that you're trying to focus on attention to detail, and maybe your previous work experience was in the restaurant industry. So although most of the work that you were doing, probably working as a server or as a host or hostess, might not be directly applicable to something in a different field, attention to detail is definitely a transferable skill. So maybe you have a bullet point that says exhibit exceptional attention to detail when taking reservations and updating guest seating chart for 60 plus tables. So that way you're focusing on the aspects of that role that are relevant and transferable to a position that you would like to move into going forward. And then one more example, let's say you want to focus on communication skills. You could say that you utilize effective communication skills when responding to customer inquiries via email and over the phone. So with your bullet points on your resume, you always want to try to be specific. You always want to focus on the most relevant aspects of your experience. And using the bullet points to focus on your transferable skills is really going to help an employer to see how you're qualified. And it will also help you to be selected as qualified by the applicant tracking system. Another opportunity to showcase your transferable skills is going to be during the interview process. So there are a number of interview questions that are great opportunities for you to discuss your skills. So a very common question, tell me about yourself. This is your opportunity to share the most relevant information about yourself with the employer so that they can see that you would be a good fit for the role. So this is a great opportunity. In addition to talking about your previous experience, maybe you're going to talk about your education, you can also highlight transferable skills that would prepare you for the position you're applying for. You might also choose to talk about transferable skills when you're asked what your greatest strength is. Obviously, you want to pick something that's going to make sense for the position you're applying for. And as is true for most interview questions, whenever possible, you want to provide an example. So if you want to talk about how your work ethic is your greatest strength, you would want to provide an example of that, illustrate it for the employer. You can also definitely focus on skills when you're asked, why should we hire you? So again, focusing on your most relevant qualifications, and oftentimes skills are a great thing to focus on. Another type of question that you might encounter that translates as far as transferable skills go would be behavioral interview questions. These are questions that start with the phrase, tell me about a time when, or maybe they start with, give me an example of a time when this happened. So you might be asked a question like, tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult coworker or classmate. So this is a great opportunity to really showcase your transferable skills, such as conflict resolution and communication skills. You could be asked, tell me about a time that you had to make a difficult decision. So this is really going to look at your critical thinking skills. Tell me about a time when you had too much on your plate. How did you prioritize your responsibilities? So with this question, this is a great opportunity for you to demonstrate that you are adaptable. It's also could be a great opportunity to highlight your problem-solving skills. So showing how you responded effectively to this situation. I hope that this presentation has been helpful to you in kind of walking you through the process of beginning to identify your transferable skills, taking into consideration what skills employers are looking for, and then also taking advantages of opportunities to showcase your skills both through your resume and also during the interview process.